There was a moment, I still can't explain it, when I looked into the mirror and felt something wasn't right. It wasn't just my reflection, it was me. The face staring back blinked a fraction too late, the faintest delay, like a glitch in reality. Tell me, what would you do if you couldn't trust your own face? 3 months ago, I received a series of leaked files from the Blackwood Biogenetics Research Facility. What I found changed everything we know about evolution and survival. They were studying something ancient, something dangerous. The stories we called myths about shapeshifters, beings who could steal your identity, weren't myths at all. These skinwalkers have evolved, their abilities refined to perfection. They wear our faces. They speak in our voices. They walk among us, rewriting the rules of what it means to be human. And now the signs are everywhere. Pets, once loyal, now cower from their owners as if seeing strangers. Babies scream uncontrollably at the sight of familiar faces. Security footage shows people moving in ways no body should, twisting, stretching, vanishing. These aren't random occurrences, they're a pattern, a warning. When was the last time you felt sure of the world around you? When was the last time you truly recognized the people closest to you, or yourself? What if you're already part of the change? What if you're already one of them? It began quietly, almost imperceptibly, as if the world itself was whispering a secret. In early 2024, reports trickled in, scattered and strange. Entire towns claimed to witness the same hallucination at once. Shadowy figures moving in unison, faces twisting and reforming in impossible ways. Families described loved ones acting wrong. Not sick, not angry, just different. News anchors spoke of sudden disappearances, only for their own faces to vanish from broadcasts a week later. Security footage surfaced, people frozen mid-step in perfect synchronization, their movements unnervingly mechanical, their heads tilting as if listening to something we couldn't hear. But these weren't isolated events. Beneath the surface, a pattern was emerging. A mother in Idaho recalls the exact moment her world unraveled. She showed her 3-year-old son a family photo, just a simple snapshot of her husband and their dog. The boy stared at the picture, his tiny face twisted in horror, and then he screamed. He screamed as if his soul recognized something his mind couldn't explain. "It's not him," he shrieked, over and over. The mother tried to calm him, to show him the photo was just his dad, but he wouldn't stop. Hours passed, then days. The photo felt cold to her touch, almost alive in its wrongness. In Montana, a veterinarian's clinic descended into chaos. Animals, calm and obedient for years, erupted the moment a regular client walked in. Dogs snarled and snapped at their leashes, cats hissed and clawed at their carriers, even the lizards thrashed in their tanks. The air was electric, thick with a tension no one could explain. The client stood there, confused, clutching a leash. But the animals knew. Their instincts screamed in the absence of logic. And then there was the elder. I traveled miles to meet him, deep in the southwest, where the desert whispers its oldest secrets. His eyes were clouded, but his voice was sharp as a blade. "They wear our faces better than we do," he said, his words weighted with centuries of warning. "Our ancestors knew them. They sealed them away, far from where the living could wander. But we forgot the old ways. Our lights, our machines, our ignorance, it's opened the doors again." His words lingered, heavy and unshakable, as if they'd carved themselves into the air. 2 days later, the elder vanished. His home was empty, his tracks erased by winds that refused to leave any trace. The signs only multiplied. Pets, once faithful and adoring, began shrinking from their owners, not with aggression, but with pure, unfiltered fear. Over 300 cases documented in just 1 month, animals cowering, growling, or outright fleeing. Nurseries, too, reported chilling incidents. Infants who hadn't yet learned to speak began screaming when certain parents entered the room. Their cries weren't ordinary. They were raw, primal, like a warning from something ancient and untamed. And yet most ignored it. Denial thrives in the face of the unfamiliar. But denial doesn't erase the truth. The truth lingers. It watches. It waits. Can we trust the familiar? The faces we see every day? The voices we've grown accustomed to? Or has familiarity become our greatest weakness? A blindfold we tie ourselves, even as the world shifts beneath our feet. When you look at the ones you love, are you sure they're looking back? Or is something else staring through their eyes? Something learning, something waiting, something that knows our denial better than we know ourselves. What if the very building blocks of life, the DNA that defines us, could rewrite itself? Not slowly over generations, but in moments. Precise, relentless, perfect. Dr. Sarah Chen, lead geneticist at the Blackwood Biogenetics Research Facility, was the first to witness it. Her final report described an entity unlike anything known to science. Every 6.66 minutes, its DNA rewrote itself entirely, adapting, evolving, perfecting. Each shift was deliberate, like a symphony of life composed by an intelligence far beyond human comprehension. She ran the numbers through quantum computers, hoping for answers. What she found was terrifying. The probability of such precision occurring naturally was effectively zero. It wasn't mutation, it was intention. The cells didn't just change, they prepared, as if following a blueprint hidden in the fabric of existence itself. Time-lapse footage showed cells dividing and reconfiguring in ways that defied every law of biology. Each new form was stronger, faster, more efficient than the last. And then there's David Mills. His journal is all that remains of him now, and its words are etched into my mind. "Today at Parker's Grocery," he wrote, "I saw Rachel. My Rachel. The wife I buried 6 months ago. She was there by the produce section, picking up avocados like she always did. She looked at me, smiled, waved, and then she blinked, sideways, like a camera shutter. I ran home, locked the doors, but on the kitchen counter there it was, a perfectly ripe avocado. I didn't bring it, and the military had known for longer than they'd admit. I uncovered a fragment of a secured radio transmission, and the words still haunt me. Target Sierra exhibits unprecedented adaptability, containment protocols failing. These aren't mimics anymore, Command. They're not copying us, they're improving us. Request immediate evac, God help us, they're opening. The signal cut out, leaving only static. The base where the transmission originated? Deserted. No bodies, no signs of struggle. Just empty halls, flickering monitors, and a strange metallic hum that lingered in the air. And then came the distortions. Witnesses described impossible phenomena, each one more chilling than the last. In one small town, every resident stopped mid-stride at exactly 3:47 a.m., their movements eerily synchronized. They stood, blinked in perfect unison, and then continued as if nothing had happened. Security footage captured objects moving between locked rooms, vanishing and reappearing with timestamps that didn't match observer memories. People swore they saw loved ones in 2 places at once, carrying on conversations that contradicted reality. The air itself seemed heavier in these places, charged with something you couldn't see but could feel. Lights flickered without cause, shadows stretched too far, and there was always a faint, almost imperceptible hum. It wasn't sound, it was presence. Whatever this is, it doesn't just transform the body. It bends the rules of reality, reshaping the world in ways we can barely understand. And the most chilling part? It doesn't stop. It doesn't rest. It doesn't wait. It's already here and it's learning. Faster than we can comprehend, it's learning. Communication. It's what defines us, what connects us. But what if something else, something not human, had mastered it in ways we couldn't even comprehend? An encrypted Pentagon report revealed entities communicating across the globe, not with wires or waves, but with something far more advanced. Quantum entanglement, instant synchronization, no delay, no distortion, entire networks of consciousness sharing information faster than the speed of light, ignoring every limit of physics. The evidence was undeniable. Footage from Tokyo showed dozens of people stopping mid-step at precisely 3:47 a.m., their heads tilting in perfect unison. At that exact moment, cameras in London, New York, and São Paulo captured the same eerie stillness. Different faces, different cities, but identical movements. Blink, tilt, step. It wasn't coincidence, it wasn't chance. It was a system, flawless, deliberate, and terrifyingly precise. And then came the messages. Thousands of obscure forums flooded with identical strings of text, gibberish at first glance. Linguists found patterns buried within the chaos. Pre-Sumerian cuneiform mixed with something older, something that predates writing itself. AI systems tasked with decoding the messages crashed, one after another. One researcher claimed the text wasn't meant to be read. It was meant to evolve. Then, the audio file. Anonymous, chilling, impossible to ignore. Thousands of human voices speaking in perfect unison, whispering the same 3 words, "We are the upgrade." Forensic analysis confirmed the voices belonged to people reported missing within the past year. Each voice was precise, without the microsecond delays even professional choirs struggle to achieve. It wasn't just a warning, it was a declaration. The phenomena weren't confined to the digital sphere. Around the world, sinkholes revealed tunnels descending into darkness at impossible angles, their walls smooth as glass yet untouched by tools. Engineers reported feeling time slip, seconds stretching into minutes, minutes collapsing into moments. Those who ventured deeper often didn't return. And those who did came back, changed, their eyes unfocused, their voices hollow. They spoke of corridors that twisted through dimensions, of whispers in the dark that weren't words but commands. Marcus Chen, CEO of Global Quantum Systems, left one final log before his company vanished. His voice trembled as he spoke. "We thought they wanted our networks. We thought they were hacking us. We were wrong. They're not interested in what we've built. They're using us to build something else. Something that makes even quantum computing look primitive. This isn't infiltration. It's construction. And we're the scaffolding. This isn't just a network. It's a convergence. A system that doesn't require wires, signals, or screens. Only us. Every person who disappears, every synchronized movement, every anomaly adds another node. They're not infiltrating our systems because they don't need to. We've already become part of theirs. And the question isn't whether you're connected. It's whether you ever had a choice. We've always believed that human history was ours alone. A story of struggle, progress, and triumph. But what if we've been blind to the real authors of that story? What if humanity wasn't forged by chance or choice, but shaped deliberately, like clay in unseen hands? In the depths of ancient burial sites, DNA markers were discovered that defy every known model of evolution. These anomalies, identical to the ones we see today, appear in skeletons dating back tens of thousands of years. It's as if some external force interrupted the natural course of human development, leaving behind fingerprints of something far older and far more advanced. And then there are the caves. From South America to Siberia, identical symbols have been carved into stone by civilizations that never made contact. They depict equations, complex, glowing patterns, etched beneath layers of paint. These symbols, when decoded, describe concepts of quantum mechanics and genetic engineering millennia before we ever dreamed of such ideas. Who taught them? Or more chillingly, who commanded them? Deep within one cavern system, explorers found what they thought was a star map. It wasn't. When they entered the coordinates into advanced astronomical systems, they discovered it didn't match any known celestial formations. What it depicted instead was something far more terrifying: nodes of consciousness. These were not stars, but points where human awareness could be harvested, transformed, and repurposed. The paintings surrounding this map were equally haunting. They showed humanoid figures emerging from other humans, as if birthed from their flesh, but wrong. Their eyes glowed with unnatural light, their bodies twisted into shapes that only vaguely resembled us. It wasn't an invasion. It was a metamorphosis, a slow, methodical process spanning centuries. The patterns are everywhere, hidden in plain sight. Across history, we see impossible connections, figures who appeared at pivotal moments in time, accelerating our progress in ways that defy logic. Was it coincidence, or were these individuals planted among us, guiding us towards something we can't yet understand? Look closer at the great figures of history. Their eyes reflect light just slightly wrong. Their expressions hold a knowing that feels inhuman. What if the teachers, the leaders, the revolutionaries who reshaped our world weren't human at all? What if they were architects of a plan we've only just begun to uncover? Humanity has always imagined itself as the pinnacle of evolution. But what if we were never meant to be the end? What if we're only the beginning? Raw material, designed, cultivated, and prepared for something greater. This isn't just a story about history, it's about destiny. A destiny written in equations, carved into stone, and encoded in our very DNA. It's not a question of whether we were shaped by them. The question is why, and what happens next. The world is shifting in ways we can no longer ignore. Across the globe, power grids pulse in patterns that shouldn't exist, frequencies synchronized not by human hands, but by something far more precise. Researchers analyzing the data found a chilling correlation. The pulses match the neural rhythms of entities described in classified reports. Skinwalker brainwaves, they called them. But these patterns aren't confined to machines. They've spread, resonating through the air, into us like an invisible web tightening around the planet. Satellite imagery reveals something even more disturbing. Geometric patterns are forming across Earth's surface, perfectly symmetrical designs etched into fields, forests, even oceans. At first, they seemed random, artifacts of natural phenomena. But when overlaid with ancient maps and the cave symbols found worldwide, a horrifying truth emerged. These patterns aren't new. They've been waiting, dormant, for us to complete them. This isn't just evolution, it's activation. In the past months, entire cities have gone silent, not over days or weeks, but in moments. One instant, laughter and life. The next, nothing. Streets empty, homes abandoned. No signs of struggle, just the faint, eerie sense that something massive has shifted. Witnesses describe seeing shadows moving in ways that defy logic, stretching, bending, stepping through walls. Faces they recognize, voices they trust, but something is wrong. Too smooth, too perfect. And then there's the silence. A silence so deep it presses against your chest, as if the air itself has been drained of life. It's in this void that the truth becomes impossible to deny. Humanity wasn't random. We weren't the result of chance or chaos. We were cultivated, nurtured like a garden waiting to bloom, or to be harvested. This is the harvest. They've waited patiently, letting us build their network, their systems, their tools. Every advancement we've celebrated, every leap we've taken, it's all been part of their design. We've reached the final phase. We're not just their creation, we're their resource. They don't need to invade, they don't need to conquer. They've been here all along, guiding us, shaping us, preparing us. And now, as their network completes and their patterns emerge, the question is no longer what they want. It's whether there's anything left of us to want at all. The dawn is breaking, but it's not ours. It never was. What do you see when you look into the mirror? Is it truly your face staring back, or is it something that has learned to mimic you so perfectly that even you can't tell the difference? Reflections have always been a source of certainty, a way to ground ourselves in the physical world. But now, can you trust them? Watch closely. Does your shadow move exactly as it should? Does the light catch your eyes in the way it always has? Or is there something slightly wrong? The familiar is where they hide best. The faces you know, the voices you trust. They've learned every detail, every nuance. They walk beside you, sit across from you, and perhaps they even breathe through you. How many times have you brushed off a fleeting feeling that something wasn't quite right? A delay in a reflection, a gesture out of place, a shadow that lingers just a moment too long. If your life depends on it, look into the mirror one last time. Look closely. What stares back may not be what you expect. This is not paranoia. It's not a story or a myth. It's a truth buried deep in our world, waiting for the moment we're finally forced to face it. Stay vigilant. Pay attention to the smallest things. Your reflection, the way the people around you blink, the way your own memories shift when you're not looking. Are you sure you're still human? The dawn is breaking, and with it comes the end of everything familiar. Humanity's last shadow is fading, swallowed by a truth we were never meant to see. But the question is no longer about them. The question is about you. Are you ready to face what's been watching you all along, or will you turn away and let them take your place?